Hello everyone. So what I wanted to do today is to start with a brand new account. So you can see here I created this I Dream of Shogi account. I haven't played a single game on it. And what I want to do is play 10-minute games against whatever levels, starting from very low because it's a brand new account, and try and explain a little bit the mistakes that I see from the lower rated players that I'm going to be playing on up, through to higher level players where I'm not going to see as many mistakes and where I'm probably going to make more mistakes than they do potentially. I don't know how long it's going to take, but let's give it a shot. Um, so I think generally speaking, we're going to be able to pick out mistakes pretty easily the lower the level is, and then once we get to around Shodan or Tudan or so, it's going to be a little bit harder. So let me switch the scene very quickly here. So this is a 7Q. I think they had played somewhere around 100 games, maybe a little bit less, and so should be like pretty accurate in terms of their rating. It's not like one of those players who are like, just started and created a new account, and so I think their actual rating should be around this level. So far, so good for my opponent. It's just the opening. That's a bit of a curious move. That's not a move I see very often made, like to move the king over already. Generally speaking, at this point in the game, they're going to be setting up a counter attack on this side. This is just like my general opening that I play. Static rook, getting my silver to here so I can set up an attack. And then I just need to be careful of potential king rook forks. And so this is one of the moves that I can make in order to prevent the king rook fork. So I wanted to attack here, but this is annoying. So my general strategy when this happens is kind of Udashino-like, which is to bring the bishop back and have it help attack on this line. So I mean, so far my opponent's playing a little bit. Okay, so he's trying to play Migi Shikembisha here. It doesn't work quite as well when your opponent hasn't pushed this pawn. So generally, I want to get my king over here. I'm not actually 100% sure if I want to move my king here, though, because he specifically moved the rook over here. But now our... Okay, so I was going to say that we are lined up to attack. Now, I guess this is kind of a common mistake that people are going to make at this level. He just moved his rook to this file, and then he jumped his knight in front of a pawn in front of a silver. Right, and so now he's kind of stuck. His rook has nowhere to go now, because his knight's also stuck. So it's a good idea to move the silver out to try and get his rook unstuck. But what I'm trying to think is, can I, re-stick, get the silver back in front? So obviously, what I'm considering is this pawn push. I'm trying to figure out what happens when he comes this way with the silver. So his threat is to push this pawn. I can run away. He has to run back. And then I can actually just attack from this side. And I really want to push this. It blocks everything. So what he's going to want to do, if I push and he pushes, I run back, he runs back. He's going to want to counter by pushing his fifth file pawn and then using the pawn with this knight here. But I have a feeling that my attack's going to be faster. So if I attack now, he pushes. I take the pawn. He's going to take. That actually looks kind of scary. So I think what I want to do is push, come back. He goes back, and then attack. So let's see what he does. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to counter push here. Okay. And then our plan was to just retreat this way. So now he has to retreat, I think. Oh no, he can trade the silvers. What am I doing? So you should trade, and then I'm going to need to drop the silver back. That's strange. That doesn't really do anything, right? So I can just take it with the bishop. So I'm considering taking the silver as well. If I take the silver, this runs to here. If I take with the bishop, trade the silvers, the bishop comes out. I drop a silver. I would assume he'd back up. Okay. So that's just like a free knight. He didn't really need to do that. So this was the line that I read through. Okay, so now he retreats. The question is which pawn to push. So he's gonna push here next, or drop a silver here. I think that I need to do the more aggressive one, which is this. What I'm stopping to see is when I trade the bishops, I just want to make sure I'm not running into anything stupid, which I don't think I am. So this is a great spot for me to trade bishops, because then I can drop a knight here. That's my idea. He has a bishop drop here to check, but then I can just block it, no problem. So yeah, I mean, so far actually I think my opponent's playing quite well. So this is kind of wasteful, I would say. But what he wants to do is make sure that, I guess, when he recaptures, I don't have a knight drop. But he can't take with this silver. He's going to have to take with one of these, like, I guess this silver. But now he's kind of all blocked up over here. And we have a... Okay, so the knight doesn't stop this knight drop, so he kind of just misread that. And yeah, like, I think the lower level you go, the more people are just going to make weird misreads. So like the knight sack was completely unnecessary. You know, he kind of jammed himself up here with the knight jump to begin with. Maybe kind of figured out that he made a mistake there, and he's trying to he's trying to make up for it. The pawn push was pretty good. So if we, the question is which gold to take. If we take this gold, his king kind of like gets defended in tempo. If we go this way and king goes this way, it's much more exposed. If he takes with the rook is pretty exposed, so I think taking this side is better. Both of our silvers are protected, so I'm actually not that scared of this bishop drop. It does prevent my bishop drop here. Okay, so he decides to take with the king. I kind of want to just drop a pawn and ask him where you gonna go. So I'm certain we're in a good position. We're just up a gold, effectively, I think. So bringing the rook to the center is not bad. He can defend it with a pawn, drop a pawn, drop a pawn. If he comes back this way, we have the bishop drop. If he goes back this way, then we can... Actually, I can push this pawn right now anyway, but it's a little bit scary from a counterattack perspective. But it is pretty classic to attack the knight's head. So one possibility is to defend. So the scary part, obviously, is when he counter pushes this pawn. So I can defend it and then go. Pawn take, pawn drop, pawn push. That's a little scary. So let's, but if I drop the pawn, okay. So we're gonna go with the attack the knight's head plan. In order to do that, we need to prevent this drop. Or we need to prevent like the pawn from threatening this this silver. So we're gonna go with this. What would make sense for my opponent is to defend this now, I guess, with one of the silvers. The problem is if he defends it with this silver, I can take it and then I get in. Okay, so he takes. Usually you don't want to take there. But maybe his idea is to drop a pawn here. No, his idea is to attack on this side. Well, I'm just going to take. So I need to speed up a bit now. I think this makes a lot of sense. I don't have a pawn right now, and he has a lot of stuff right here, and not as much stuff right here. In fact, it could make a lot of sense for me to sack off the rook here. Yeah. Because the bishop is actually pretty threatening. It's blocking me from doing a lot of things, and now I get to just drop it here. It doesn't really have a great place to put the rook. I mean, here is pretty good, but I can actually run the king up here, I think. This way, maybe, is better, actually. It looks more sparse, but if I go this way, he can take this. If I go this way, he either has to, like, block with the pawn or promote back this way. I'm trying to decide if that's scary for me. I mean, if worst case scenario, in that scenario, I can just drop up. Okay, so he's threatening this. And just take here. So now he really has no threat. And I have lance drops here and here, which are pretty threatening. Okay. This is kind of annoying now, actually. But again, I have the lance drop threats, which is kind of saving me from this pawn push. But now he has a silver to drop. I think, yeah, I understand what he was going for with this, but you really need to set up some sort of counterattack there. So he is afraid of me dropping something here, so he decided to do this. I'm gonna do this. I need to play pretty quickly here, and I think it's a pretty good threat that he needs to address. And what I'm going to try and do in this video is maybe try and cut down some of the video. Like normally in a lot of my videos, I don't really edit them. I kind of just do them in one take and go. But I think for this series, or maybe not series, but this video, it's going to be a longer one. I'll probably end up editing it. And oh god damn it! So I just hung the bishop. But okay, so you didn't see it. So yeah, I'll edit it and I'll also like analyze the game a bit and kind of try and point out the moves that were mistakes. So I mean that was a big mistake, right? I just hung my bishop and he didn't see it. But interesting, like there were multiple times I think in this game where I was a little bit scared, and this is I believe just mate in one. Then you kind of just walked into mate in one. Yay, level up. But yeah, so let's go ahead and check out that game and find the moves that that were a little funky. Okay, so let's review that game. And actually, I'll just go ahead and look at it from my opponent's perspective. This is all very normal. I think this was the first wonky move. This is not a move that I normally see. Mainly because in this position, the reason why you generally do this opening is that you're waiting for your opponent to do a bishop exchange opening and trade bishops with you. And when you trade bishops, you generally want your king to go to 6-8. And it's also important in Shogi to have attacks as well. So the most common move in this position, I think, would either be pawn 2-6 or pawn 6-6, depending on what you're going for. So the pawn 6-6 idea would be to go into Gangi and prevent the bishop exchange, or pawn 2-6 to set up your own attack. King 6-9 was a little bit strange to me. But okay, he's deciding he wants to castle pretty quickly. This gold move even actually is also a little bit strange. So this is kind of like a crab castle, but the bishop is on 7/7. Um, he can't really go into Yagura from here unless I trade bishops with him or he trades bishops with me. Um, and if he wants to go into Gangi, he probably should have already closed the bishop diagonal. So this is a little bit of a weird opening sequence as well. One that I really just don't see very much. And so so he decides to push the fourth file pawn. This is also a strange decision in my opinion. Mainly because if he's trying to go Migi Shikembisha, it's not a great time to do it because your opponent hasn't pushed their fourth file pawn. So again, I think this entire time, the move that's really been begging to be played is pawn 2/6, or pawn 6/6. So eventually he goes pawn 6/6. But after going pawn 6/6, he kind of goes into his Migi Shikembisha idea anyway, and then he jumps this knight. So here, I think the move order is a little bit wonky, right? Like we talked about, he kind of welcomed the bishop exchange at the beginning, then he closed his bishop diagonal kind of for no reason. If he wanted to close the bishop diagonal, he should have done it earlier and gone into Gangi. He has the opportunity to Gangi. He's not building Gangi for some reason. And then obviously this knight jump is really short-sighted. I mean, technically, so I don't think I can like pull my silver back to try and push this pawn because pawn 6/5 opens the bishop diagonal. But generally speaking, you want your pieces to be active, and he basically just buried his rook behind a silver, a pawn, and a knight. This is a move I don't think you're gonna see any, maybe even like 2Q level players would never make this type of move. It's just blocking your own pieces and really accomplishing nothing. Okay. But he played, I think, this exchange like in the middle pretty well. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if he just retreated his silver. But yeah, I think pawn 6/5 is the best move. But then this knight jump really doesn't make very much sense at all. He can just pull his silver back, kind of like leave everything be. And if he brings his silver back to 6/7, at the very least, his king is in very well protected. I mean, the knight's not really doing anything, but also like I'm not gonna take it and open up this diagonal. So at least he kind of like keeps things together. But okay, he decides that he doesn't want this. I think he kind of figured out that the knight is blocking his rook, and he wants to activate his rook. I think probably the better way to activate the rook would probably be to move it to a different file in this case. And then, okay, we trade the silvers. I drop it back to block, and then I go ahead and try and trade the bishops. I was actually pretty surprised that he didn't just trade the bishops. And I thought maybe he understood that if he trades the bishops that I was threatening this knight drop, but that's not what he was going for. So it is a little bit strange to me that he decided to drop the silver here. And then when I take this was a bit of a strange sequence. I'm not completely sure what he was thinking. So yeah, I got my gold fork here. Go ahead and retreat my silver. And he decided to drop this bishop, which threatens the knight. But I want to trade this knight off anyway. And the bishop isn't really doing anything. It's staring at two silvers that are both defended. So I think this is another move that you're not gonna see higher level players make. Like yeah, again, like I can't imagine like a 2Q level player playing this bishop drop, or even this silver drop is one that I don't think you're gonna see made at higher levels. Okay, taking with the king, yeah, that's probably a fine decision. I decided to float my rook to defend. He starts pushing the second file pawn now. I decided to go ahead and go with this attack, and he goes ahead and hops his knight. This was kind of strange to me too, I think, this taking with this silver. It makes the king pretty weak in the middle of the board, and it over concentrates his pieces over on this side. Um, and he could have just taken with the bishop, which isn't really doing anything this way anyway, right? Really, the value of the bishop right now is that it's comboing with this knight attacking this way. Um, and it's kind of in threat right now, right? Because my rook is coming this way. It's not defended. So I think maybe pulling it back could have been good. Obviously, you can't take with the other ways because my rook gets in. Okay, so I decided to trade the rook for the bishop because this bishop was kind of cramping my style. I wanted to drop this bishop. Was a really interesting rook drop. I'm pretty sure it's not very good. I don't really understand it either. It's not like the rook is gonna attack here on the 6th file anyway. And it doesn't defend the rook, and it doesn't defend the lance either. So this is it's another move, I guess, similar to some of the moves that he was making before, where it's like a one threat type move. And he's just like, hey, I'm gonna take your bishop. These are moves that higher level players aren't going to make, and they're generally going to be very bad moves because I want to take this lance anyway, right? Or like the whole point of me dropping the bishop here is to take one of these pieces and move it. So forcing me to make the move I want to make is usually not a very good use of your own move. Okay, so we go ahead and trade. He drops this silver. I mean, I think at this point moves are he's in such a bad position. He's just trying to like add pieces to defend. Go ahead and fork, and I was kind of running out of time here, so I was just trying to play fast. And yeah, I guess, and then here's kind of, I guess, the last move. I blunder this bishop, but he doesn't see it, right? So if I'm playing again, I think my reference is going to be to 2Q-ish right now, because or 2Q, 1Q, because every once in a while I'll hit those that strength of player depending on my matchmaking settings. And they're not going to miss the fact that this is hanging very often. Yeah. So the rest is pretty straightforward. Okay, going into the mate in one, that happens sometimes. Okay, so let's go into the next game and see what level of player we get. So right now, I have the matchmaking setting to fairly weak. And the reason why I have it set to fairly weak is I want the leveling up to go like relatively slowly. Okay, so we are with a 3Q level player right now. Oh, I just noticed my avatar is not in the right place. So yeah, let's see how this game goes. So this is Aigakari. Oh, interesting. So this is generally not a good move. Because of this. And I get to end up dropping the pawn here first, but it's actually not that bad. It's not good, but it's not horrible, actually, if you put this in an engine. Because I can't do anything about this either, and I believe sometimes these openings can be scary because, I just know that fundamentally it's not a good move, but I don't know the exact best counters. This would be especially good if you did it in like a 3-minute game. So, okay, if he promotes the pawn, how bad is that? If he promotes the pawn, we can run, and then he drops, take. Okay, so that's bad. So I either need to run now, I need to hit this somehow, or I need to run and then drop. I can also do something like take here, pawn drop, bring my rook around. If we do that, and then he drops like a bishop, how bad is that? So if I like go here, he promotes, I run, he drops. Maybe like here first, hit the rook first. Rook needs to move and then I can come around. Oh no, he's gonna need to block actually when I do this, right? So okay, take, block, I guess. So if he promotes, then I just take. So, I mean, this really needs to get read out. It's very complicated. So I know that I'm winning, but it's pretty scary if the opponents research this quite heavily. And this sometimes you run into this with like this level of player, is that they have kind of like their pet strategies. Take pawn around bishop drop, take check, takes the rook, take the rook, pawn promotes. Oh, but then I have a rook drop. Okay. Okay, let's have fun. It's possible I lose this game, I guess. It's you played a very like, you know, tricky opening. It is definitely just losing, but there are definitely some tricks. The idea here is that we're gonna be able to like take this pawn with a check, or like just take this pawn with a check and hitting the rook. If he moves the gold, what do we do? I think if he moves the gold, we can actually still make that move because he can't take it. Wow. Okay, well, what's his idea? Bishop? Maybe? Bishop. Gold. I don't like that move. Okay, so this is pretty much winning now. I like rook drop here. Because he can't do anything to my king. Rook drop threatens this. The only way to defend it is like a silver, but then we can, it's also threat mate, so. Okay. So that stops the threat mate, but I get to just take the silver. Bishop drop. So far basically this game is he played his like trick opening, except he didn't really have any tricks with it. It's kind of strange. So the question is anything a threat? Not really. I'm just gonna back up. Like my horse covers. Oh, whoops. Yeah. Okay. Does he have any knight drops? Not really. So I'm just gonna take his pieces now. He's just kind of blundered a few times. So he played a trick opening. There weren't really any tricks, like any traps. And then he blundered. So this player has actually played quite a bit worse than the last player I played. So this is, I'm probably not going to review this game. I might not even include it in the video. Because that was kind of a gimmick opening. And, hey, we got a Kishin. Yeah. So now I will say I've had people play that opening against me even at higher level games, and it can be tricky. But he didn't quite have the tricks up his sleeve that he needed to play that opening. Okay, so here we go now with a 2Q. He's played lots of games, so this guy is a solid 2Q level player. Also on a 2-game win streak. So let's see what he plays. Okay, so he's blocked his bishop diagonal. And he's going to play fourth file rook. Okay. Let's see how... Okay, so he's brought his silver up pretty quickly. And he's not castling yet. So, generally speaking, higher level players don't commit the silver this early. They're generally going to keep the silver back and start castling a bit earlier. The main reason being it's like a committing move, right? You're committing to move the silver there, and you might not want it there. Like in this case, I believe because the silver is there, I can start attacking now before his castle is even. And he take, so this is also pretty strange. Usually you don't take there because I can trade and then push the second file, and you can't defend the second file anymore because you moved your silver up too early. So this is just him not kind of knowing the opening. So this is something I'll say that I think I'm just going to go and say this never happens when I'm playing people who are like Shodan and above. Like this level of opening mistake. I mean, okay, sometimes it happens, but it's pretty rare. And it really stems from him committing that silver so early. And then not understanding, like taking the pawn, right? I can't remember the last time I've had somebody take that pawn against me in that position. Okay, so let's, now that we have a very, very good advantage, pretty much winning. So the question is, how do we convert? I can take the lance. Taking the lance feels a little bit iffy because I'm putting myself into this bishop diagonal. So the safest way to let me take the lance is to drop my bishop. It also threatens this, so he might drop it back. And then when I trade, his silver is in the middle of the board, and then I can take the lance and be fine. So that's one option. I can also attack the knight's head. I think I want to drop my bishop, though. I'm going to drop it back here. Generally speaking, I want to drop it up here, but his silver is already here, so I don't want it to get attacked by the silver, so I'm going to drop it back here. So obviously, this is attacking this knight, number one. Let's see. If I take here, and he jumps the knight, I can take, so... And then if I take the lance, take, knight jump, but then this diagonal is blocked. If he jumps the knight, yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna take the lance now. Let's see what he does. So he makes the trade from his side, and now my silver is here, so these forks aren't as good. So he's gonna go ahead and push the pawn. So I can attack here. Looks pretty good. Bishop drop again. If he drops the bishop, take. Bring this. If I bring this here, and then he drops the bishop, we have a lance drop. Here, knight. That lets me trade off knights. So I mean, so far this game is really just about that opening mistake that my opponent made. He just didn't know the opening. But other than that, pretty normal. I could also try for the edge. The problem is I'd want my bishop to be here, and if I drop here, take. I feel like there must be something good there. If I drop again, pawn. Drop a lance, actually. Thinking a lot here because I know I'm ahead, and if I just find the right attack, pretty much I'm going to win the game. It's generally the pattern of how I play 10-minute games. Okay, I like dropping the bishop again. So it threatens the knight, and it also threatens lance drop. Knight jump. Okay, I don't think that's good because of the lance drop, or my lance drop specifically. Because this blocks the rook now. So he kind of just didn't see that move, I guess. Okay, so we get a lance for a gold. I don't want to let him take this and bring my silver up to here, because then the pawn promotion is scary. Okay, so now we're in a really great position. What I would like to do, I think, is promote my bishop, bring it here, and attack the gold. Another option is to just try and prevent any shenanigans from happening here. Drop a gold, but that feels like an overcommitment. Knight drop here is actually pretty good, too. So if I drop a knight here, he can't come around. And then I'm going to be able to block him from coming in. So this is kind of like playing a bit greedy in a way, where like I just don't want to give him anything. I don't know if it's going to work. So he can't go all the way back. If he goes to here, I'm going to promote the bishop. If he goes to here, I can drop a pawn. Whoa! That's really strange. I don't really know what his plan is. I can drop a gold here and just take the rook. Okay, lance. Okay. So this is threatening to take the gold. Okay. So my idea is I would very much like to just sack this lance off here. And also just picking up a silver is very good. So that's why I dropped the lance. So I want to go here, but there's this bishop drop. If I go here, he has this bishop drop, but then I can come here. This isn't really that big of a threat. And if I win the silver, I can sack this rook here, and then when the gold takes, drop a silver here. The problem now, though, is when I take this, this pawn comes in. So this bishop actually was a pretty good move. Okay. So he's going to end up taking here and attacking this. I might as well just run now. So this pawn taking this pawn is like never going to be that great of a move. And it sets up our silver drop that we wanted to make right here. But the bishop is defending, right? So this is the big threat right now, silver drop right here. Like a lance drop could be pretty good, maybe. But I'm going to end... wait, hold on. So my thinking was if I drop the silver, I'm just going to be able to take the bishop if he does the lance drop. But I'm thinking right now, if I drop the silver, he takes, I take. He takes with the gold. No. We're fine. We're just going to drop. Okay. Take. If lance drop, we can just take the bishop. Yeah. Probably on promote. Take. Knight is kind of annoying, actually. But the silver defends here, so... Next we can take this gold and then drop the bishop. Okay, so if we go here... So I want to go here, bishop drop, lance drop. The bishop drop, actually, we can just take the knight, right? Okay. Actually, and this is mate. Okay, so we got a classic Mino attack off there. I think my opponent played reasonably well, actually. He just lost in the opening, I think, because he didn't know not to take the pawn. So let's go ahead and review this game. Okay, so we're gonna review that last game. I believe the big mistake that my opponent made in this game was early on. So again, I didn't like this silver move. It's a committing move that really there's no reason to play it. There's no like benefit to playing it that early. It's not stopping me from doing anything, but it's committing the silver. It's committing that move to the silver when you don't need to. And yeah, I don't see that played very often, if ever. And yeah, it enables me to make this quick attack, and then he took the pawn. So this is definitely a pawn push that never ever gets taken when I'm playing players who are Shodan and above. Even 1Q, I don't play them. I don't get matched with them very often. But I really cannot remember the last time someone took this pawn. And yeah, the reason why you can't take this pawn is because I trade and push the second file, and my rook is going to get in. You can't stop my rook from getting in anymore. So already here, I basically have a winning advantage, and it's just, okay, I need to convert it. I don't think he played... Okay, this was a little bit weak as well. He didn't see that I have this this lance tactic. I think if I'm playing a higher level player, I'm never getting this lance drop here, ever. 3 Dan and above, I don't think I'll ever get this. 2 Dan, I'll get it. It would be very rare, especially not in this type of position, where like I just dropped this bishop. So he was thinking that it's obviously attacking the knight, so he can just jump the knight, trade the knights. But yeah, he just didn't see this lance. Yeah, like already at this point, it's really game over. It's really just comes down to how cleanly can I convert the game. Okay, let's go on to the next game. Oh, I'm not on a paid account, so that's my 3 games for the day. Let me go ahead. Okay. Well, you know what? I have my regular account. I don't want to pay again, so we'll just pause it now. We'll record the rest of the video another day. Okay, so let's try another game. Let's see what rank we get this time. Okay, so this is another 2Q level player. Let's go ahead and change the scene. So let's see what type of opening we get this time. Okay. So we'll see if he's gonna go. Okay, so this is just the 4th file rook. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my king over. So you can see this player is not committing this silver up the board already. Yeah, this is generally what I find a lot more often. So let's see how he reacts to my more aggressive. Okay, so he's gonna go for Anaguma. Against Anaguma, I believe the way I like to play it is to get my silver up first. Play girl in the box. Okay, so now he's committed his silver because my silver came up. Yeah, I think we just go now. Okay. So he's in Anaguma, but these 2 pieces not really being attached, it's not super strong yet. Actually, my castle has 3 pieces attached, and it has even kind of the silver loosely attached here. So we're not in that bad a shape when it comes to like whose castle is better. Silver. Okay, let's just promote and play it from here. So I think already we're in a pretty good spot, right? We've been able to get our rook in. Our opponent has not. And let's see. So the question is, do we want to drop a pawn? So if he promotes and we take, then the rook gets in. So we'd like to block that. So if we drop the pawn, knight, knight, silver, silver, rook. And then probably bishop drop. Promote, sack. Looks pretty good. Just like read that again. Pawn, knight, knight, silver, silver, rook, bishop. That looks pretty good to me. Well, I guess the gold is still there. Wait, hold on. Pawn, Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, he goes back, and this is still there. But I think we need to do something like this. I don't want to take too much time here. So I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so I think he gave up this a little bit too easily, which normally doesn't happen. This also, I feel like, is going to be a little bit slow now because the silver is going to come in, block the rook, and then I can kind of harass the rook here, right, with like a bishop drop or something. Yeah, so this is now a little bit heavy of an attack with the silver blocking the way. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way for me now to harass this rook so that he can't get the rook in. So bishop drop is the obvious one. It's also nice because it prevents him from dropping the bishop along this diagonal. So the question is, if I drop the bishop and he hits it with the rook like this, what are we doing? In that case, we're probably just going to take the lance, because then we have a pretty big threat to drop the lance here. So bishop drop looks pretty good. And if the rook comes this way, we can just take the gold, I believe. And I'll give up the bishop in exchange, and then from there we really just need to figure out an attack. So we'd either attack the edge or try and attack with like a knight drop or something. But this is going pretty smoothly. I think, yeah, he gave up. Oh, that's interesting. So he's counterattacking my dragon. So I have the option to just take the lance. If I take the lance, he's going to take the silver here, which I don't like. So another option is for me to take the rook, because if he takes the dragon, I'm going to also get the gold. So he would have to take with the gold, but then my rook is getting in. My rook is getting through, I guess. Interesting. Okay. So now I think I just need to move my dragon hitting the gold, and that will trade with him taking this. I think I want to put it on this side. So the question, okay, if I go here, he's going to pawn drop, and then my idea was to bring the silver up, maybe even back, up and trade. Then I could get stuck because he can drop a silver here is the problem. So I can also just take the lance. If I just take the lance and he takes the silver, him taking the silver is not that big of a threat. So the problem potential is, okay, if I take the lance and he drops a pawn to block, but then I can come up here. Problem with taking the lance actually is that he's going to drop the bishop. So I could also just bring it here, let him drop the pawn, and then save. I think this is the safest thing to do. So the question is, do I want to come back or do I want to go up? Trade off, and then he has a knight drop, which is kind of uncomfortable. If I come back, him promoting is kind of going in the wrong direction, but it's giving him a move. So what move does he make if I come back? He can't drop a pawn here anymore. Silver drop blocks both, hits the bishop. What's my attack though? What I want to do is just drop a pawn here. That's really what I want to do, but the bishop is defending. So if I actually make this trade, I can actually even just give up the knight drop. It's not that big of a deal, I don't think. I can just run. Bishop diagonal is a little bit annoying. But what this does is that when he takes this way, my pawn drop works. But it gives up this knight drop. So the question is, after the knight drop, so pawn drop, knight drop, run. Not threatening to take the knight. Interesting. Okay, I can't drop a silver because he can take. And if I ignore and just let him take the lance, I can just drop a silver. Actually, knight now is kind of scary. I should have thought about that a little bit more, because knight now is kind of scary. Because I have to move my king into the line, and then he can go this way. Yeah. Well, okay, I have to run. He's gonna promote, but now I do get to drop the bishop, or sorry, the silver, because if he takes, I can take. Interesting. Very interesting. So I think he's saying if I take, he's gonna promote. But then I get this. Yeah, I don't think that's that scary. And then if he goes here, it's kind of slow. But we really do need to start setting up in a counterattack somehow. Yeah. Rook is interesting. It's a fork. But then he promotes, I take, and then he takes here, which I don't really like. I almost feel like just dropping a gold. I'm just saying you're not getting any of this. Okay, that's gonna need to happen. And his horses are on the opposite side of the board. Something Lancy. Lancy is kind of annoying, I guess. But I think we can just deal with it. Like, okay, I might need to give up the gold, but then we're gonna get some sort of an attack going. So, like, the main attack I see is Lance drop here. This seems worse than putting it over here to me. So Lance, I can take... I can also just drop a lance directly here, but no, this... The horse is defending. Okay, I need to figure something out now. Okay, let's go with my main idea. Okay. Let's go after the edge now. And like worst case scenario, we can just start bringing this token in as well. Okay, I want to maintain control over the center of the board so that these bishops don't get back in the game. Gold covers this knight drop as well. Okay, we're gonna go now. Again, I want to maintain, if I take and this takes, I'd rather take and then be able to put the pawn up and keep this all blocked off. My idea, I guess we're just blasting. Okay, we're gonna take one more time. I kind of just want to blast into here. I think my opponent played relatively well. Silver. Take or just take? So also, I'm a little bit afraid now. Actually, take, block, knight drop is a little bit scary. Silver drop, take, 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 take. Okay, I don't think I want to sack the silver. I should have taken. I should have taken this because now I need to run this way. My lance is gonna get stuck. Because if I run this way, he brings this back. Yeah, that was a mistake. So, do I have a sack? Yeah. So actually, I think I win now because he can't even check me really. He's gonna need to defend. So what he should do is just start dropping pieces because I don't have that much time. But I think my opponent played pretty well. It's just his horses got caught on the side of the board, and he lost the speed race. So I have a knight drop here, which is actually really nice as well. If he starts trying to defend. So like gold drop, take, silver drop, gold drop, take. Then maybe this gets in time. I also have a pawn drop here. Pawn drop here. Like pawn drop, pawn is pretty nice. Knight drop also is very good. I also have pawn drop, silver drop immediately. I think he just drops a gold here, right? And we're just gonna take it. Yeah, now the knight drop is nice. He's out of golds. So I didn't want to drop the gold because it gives him a gold to defend with again. So if I can make this next trade with the knight, then he can't trade the golds off. Oh, he's going in. It's definitely a mate here. I think. Yeah, this is mate. I just have too many pieces. GG. That was actually a pretty tough game. I think my opponent played pretty well. I'm gonna need to review it. So let's go ahead and review the game. So okay, let's review that game. So this is like a very standard opening with my 4/5 pawn attack against Shikembisha and Anaguma. Okay, so I think I mentioned this in the last video that I had against 4th file rook, where my opponent brought the silver here. You're really not supposed to take this pawn because it just lets the rook in too easily. So I would say that's a pretty big mistake, to let my rook in so easily. And I think he was kind of just swimming an uphill battle from kind of allowing this. I'm not sure really what to think of what happened here. I think it feels a little bit better to me to just, whoops, whoa, okay, not that. It feels a little better to me to just trade everything off. Because now your rook isn't blocked, but maybe he did read through this and he didn't like this. Because it gives me a piece with tempo attacking his Anaguma. Say something like this even. Yeah, but this really isn't that good. Okay, I mean this is pretty good, I guess. So yeah, I would have to look at an engine to know for sure. But But this did feel a little strange. To play into this and then allow the bishop drop here. And then again, the counter bishop drop. I'm not convinced the counter bishop drop is good either. But I mean, in the grand scheme, it can't be that bad, right? Because he got to defend pretty well, and then he has this knight drop threat. I think this move also looks really nice, but I think maybe this was a problem because he could just drop the knight immediately. But again, I don't know. I can't say definitively if this was good or bad. Again, I would have to look at an engine to know for sure. But I mean, certainly I can't block here, but I could maybe block here. And then when he drops the knight, I run. And he still has to deal with this pawn. So I think maybe this move wasn't quite the best. But I think I also didn't respond to it that well. Yeah, and I think this is why I think the bishop drop 5-5 might not have been the best, because now his pieces are going in the wrong direction, and I can kind of there's not really any pressure on me here to make a super fast attack because his main attacking pieces are on the wrong side of the board. Again, I thought this lance drop was probably attacking the wrong thing. But then at the end, it got a little dicey. This pawn drop also felt strange. It felt more like he should be dropping a lance here to me. Like, you drop the lance, you make me drop a pawn here, now I can't drop a pawn aggressively. And you have this pressure, and now I'm blocked off. Whereas with this, now I didn't have to drop a pawn. I guess even if he drops a lance, I could just jump my knight as well. But yeah, something here didn't quite feel alright. And then, okay, the attack just went well for me. So yeah, I think that was actually relatively. I'm actually curious what low. I wasn't paying attention when the game. Okay, so he's actually played quite a few games, and he's still at 2Q, but I thought he actually played pretty well. I didn't see anything like super glaringly bad mistake. Again, the opening definitely hurt him, right? Like, I got my rook in so easily at the beginning of the game, and from there, I think he was kind of I had a lead, and I was able to kind of convert it. So we've seen that twice now, I think, at around this 2Q level, where the opening knowledge is not quite there to know that you're not supposed to take that pawn. Okay, so let's get into the next game. We'll see if we can get a higher level. Okay, so now we're at 1Q. Let's go ahead and switch the scene. And it said he likes bishop exchange, so this will probably be a static rook game. Okay, so he's moved his gold immediately. Interesting. Let's see what he wants to do with that. And he's pushed his edge pawn. Interesting. I'm not actually sure what he's doing. Or what he's going for. That might be a better way of putting it. Okay. So I'm just trying to play my standard Hayakuri setup here and kind of react to what he's doing. Okay, so he goes ahead and makes a bishop exchange after I've already defended these. So this is like... Okay. So this is one of those bishop drops that looks good, but it just has this move that deals with it. Where my rook is defending the silver. So a risk here is that he starts pushing this pawn and this gets pinned. So I think what I want to do is trade off my rook pawn. and then bring my rook back to a better square. Okay, so now let's go ahead and castle the king a bit. So far I think it's a reasonable game. I wouldn't necessarily recommend playing that like one turn lost bishop exchange into dropping the bishop right away. I think that was probably not good. So I'm considering what to do on this side of the board. So like what I would like to do is just push this pawn, trade it off, and attack. But if I do that, my knight hangs. So I'm gonna go ahead, push the edge pawn once, see what he does. Okay, I'll answer that too. Because he's keeping his king here. It's a little bit spooky, I'm gonna call it. So I'm gonna do this. This defends my knight. And so now I've prepped my pawn push, basically. Okay. Okay, so we're able to trade off that pawn. Now I probably want to go for the edge. I'm just thinking about what the best way to... Okay, well, I'm going to do the edge one way or another, so I'm just going to push this. Okay, so we have two pawns. We need to drop one here. Okay. This is just like a classic edge attack, Tesuji. I'm gonna go ahead and make this trade to get the rook in. So now we're in a very good position. Out of the opening again, so it just feels like, and part of this could just be like the opening generally is more my strength, because I have a lot of fun studying openings. So if I go this way, he can defend this with a bishop drop. I mean, it becomes a sad bishop, but if I go this way and he tries to defend the bishop drop this way, I have a gold drop over here. So this is threatening gold drop and taking the knight. So I'm gonna call this a winning position already. And yeah, I think he just kind of did some wonky stuff in the beginning. So I could just cash in, but then he can trap me. So what I want to do is trade something off here. And then hopefully get my land. I take the lands and then get this lance attacking over here somehow. So now this bishop is pretty sad. Oh. Interesting. So my idea is to take the lance, knight takes, bring my lance, silver. Yeah, that's good. Because once the silver moves, I can take this. Oh. I wasn't expecting that. So what he's saying is when I take here, he's going to save the bishop. But okay, that just means I get to take the piece. Okay. So I like the idea of moving my dragon over here. So now when I take the bishop, it's going to be check. That's the idea. Okay, so he moves. So I can take the bishop. If the silver takes, we have a bishop drop. So gold takes. I mean, then bishop drop, a lance drop looks pretty strong. And now he can't trap my dragon anymore. So I guess he just didn't read this. I'm pretty sure he should be taking with the gold there. So my plan was this lance drop. I guess we should just drop the lance. Oh. What does that do? Okay. That was strange. But, I mean, he's kind of in desperation mode, obviously. So, I don't judge too many desperation moves like this. But I don't really see a clean way to end the game. It's like, this is pretty clean. I guess I can do a knight drop here. Yeah. Okay. So doing the knight drop now, blocking the escape path, is a Tsumero by bishop promotion. And I really don't care about this trade. He just has no attack. And actually, even if he drops a gold, it's mate. So I think this is mate as well. Here, he runs, I go back, he goes back, silver drop. So he was trying to create escape room, but probably pushing this one is what needed to happen. So I think he just... I'm not actually sure if that early game was done on purpose. Or if he actually thought he had the fork, or he just doesn't know. I would assume that he knows and he just likes playing that way, but I would not recommend it. So I would say this, again, is I just got a very big lead out of the opening and I was able to convert it. Okay, so that opponent decided to be a jerk and ran out his clock and didn't make another move. So let's quickly review the game. Again, I was not fond of his opening choice. I think, the one-turn lost bishop exchange is a legitimate strategy. I think Maruyama has actually even beaten Fuji with it a couple times. But certainly it's not to drop the bishop immediately in this manner. I'm assuming he knows about this and just likes it, but maybe he does. Maybe he actually thought he had a fork here. But this is actually a very common idea in these types of openings, that I can block the bishop from taking my rook with this silver, which also opens up my rook defending the silver. So I had a very nice advantage here from the opening again, where my opponent did a one-turn lost bishop exchange strategy, and then they dropped the bishop, and now the bishop is pretty much doing nothing. And then I kind of just played a bunch of normal moves, and then he kind of just let me attack him with an edge attack, and the edge attack went really well. He had to drop his bishop back here to defend. And like from here, I think the game is pretty much already over. And again, I just kind of converted the game. So that was a very clean game. A lot of times, actually, my games aren't that clean, even against 1Qs. So that was, again, I think an opening win. So, okay, let's see what happens in this next game. Give us a showdown here. Oh, okay, so we've jumped straight to Tudon. So let's see what our opponent does. He's going to go ahead and defend the bishop. Okay, so this is my opponent essentially expecting a bishop exchange, and me going into my Hayakuri as Sente, which is nice. Okay. Okay, so I call this the two-turn lost bishop exchange because he brought the bishop up and then also exchanged it. I don't recommend that. So now my opponent is basically 2 turns behind a normal, aggressive attack. So the normal counter, or the normal line that you play against the Hayakuri Ging is Tsugifu to try and fork this knight and this silver, but because he did the 2-turn loss, he doesn't have his pawn push, so you can't do that line. Okay, so he at least has. So this is, I think, a bit of a difference between the Tudons and some of the other players that we've seen do this type of thing where they play this wonky opening. He does understand that the benefit to the turn loss bishop exchange is that you haven't pushed your pawn here and you can jump this knight, actually. So he does seem to kind of know what he's doing, and this is kind of, his idea of how he wants to play the game. So what I'm trying to figure out right now is what's the threat. I mean, I know this is one of the ideas of the 1-turn lost bishop exchange, but it just doesn't look that good to me. I just retreat, push, I guess. The question is, how do I counter? So it would have been nice if you would have responded here and I could just do the edge attack again. I have a pawn drop here to bring the gold into this diagonal. And then I have just continuing to push the pawn. I can castle. I can even drop a pawn here. That's interesting. He takes with a knight. It's not quite good enough. So right now I'm leaning towards just pushing the edge again. So he jumps, I back. Like a bishop drop, I can just defend it in a host of ways. So yeah, let's just go for the edge again. Okay, so he's gonna go Migikyoku. That's his idea. So against Migikyoku, I think I want to be pushing here. I also like the idea of jumping my knight now. Pawn, 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 silver. Pawn, bishop. Bishop is interesting too, because it sets up this pawn push. Pawn, bishop, silver here. And then I can get in on this side, maybe. But his idea is definitely he's going to bring the king here, and then he wants this rook to get over here somehow. So if I just do this, it's kind of a waste, because the king's going this way. So I kind of wasted these 2 moves, but maybe it's okay. Maybe I should just keep going for it. Here, pawn. Okay. It's interesting. He just let this happen. But I guess his idea is he's going to be able to bring his rook around. I can actually drop here. This looks good. You can't take it. Downside is now if I drop a pawn, he has a lance. Pawn, lance. It is kind of annoying. How about silver? Lance, pawn, lance just takes. This feels heavy, but I'm starting to run out of time now, so I need to just like go with an idea. So I have to play a lot faster now. So this is kind of just like an instinctive thing. I don't want to go back here, so I'm going to go forward. A pretty double-edged move for my opponent. But yeah, I can feel the difference with this 2-dot versus the other players, where he's familiar with this position. This is what he plays a lot. And he's kind of just like not letting me get the plans that I want. It's making things difficult for me, even though I'm certain the position was good for me. I don't know if it still is, because this silver drop is very heavy on the right side of the board. It doesn't look bad. But yeah, when you consider the time factor here. Okay, so my idea is actually to trade both of these silvers for these knights. And then try and take advantage of this bishop diagonal, I guess, when the gold is up here. So maybe like take, knight drop, silver takes bishop drop, but then bishop drop, take, bishop drop, forking. That looks good. Maybe not a knight drop, maybe lance. So I could also do a lance drop here. I could also drop the bishop first, and then lance drop, actually. Ooh. Okay, so I think my idea here was to drop the pawn and then trade my silver for the double piece. Okay. That's annoying. That is annoying. So he's gonna go here. Probably gonna need to defend it. If I go, you know what? Debating going here. The idea of going here is that he can't bring the rook around so easily. Because right now, if I come back here, he promotes, I do he can like come around, which I didn't like. Do I need to do this actually? This is interesting. That was pretty good for me, that exchange. Because now if you like drop something to make me come back, you can't move the rook around. And then now this is promoted. Okay. Ooh. Okay, we need to defend here, basically. I have this lance drop though, which is really nice. Not anymore, not so much. I mean, the lance drop is still not bad. Like lance drop, take, pawn drop, back, silver drop. Looks good. One option is to bring the silver back, but I need the silver up here for that attack idea. So the best thing to do might be to just drop another silver back here. Lance takes, or sorry, knight takes, silver takes, knight takes, lance takes. And he has 2 silvers. That looks fine for me. What? That was strange. I think he just couldn't think of a move and he just like was hoping to win on time or something, but this is a serious attack now. Woo! Okay. So this rook is doing a very good job defending. So I have an idea, maybe, okay, so silver, if I silver drop, he takes, gold drop. the idea to bishop drop. That feels like it's giving up a bit too much. I could bishop drop on this diagonal, maybe? Bishop drop on this diagonal. Alright, I'm not sure. We're just gonna do this attack here. He has this back, which is annoying, but then maybe we can do this. Lance is annoying. But now the lance back is super annoying. If he takes, we have this. If he takes, we have this. If he doesn't do anything, we can take, like, that knight. Knight. Well, he has a follow-up knight too. Wait, knight drop is really annoying. Now knight drop is check. Whoa. I wanted to do lance, but the knight drop is scary. Okay, we're just gonna go to a pawn. That was a mistake. I think we're gonna lose. He has too many pieces, right? Yeah, I think it's mate, actually. So we needed to drop like a silver here, so he didn't have this. Yeah, no, I think this is just here. Yeah, this is just mate. I needed to drop a silver. That would have been okay, maybe. Yeah. GG. Whoa. So yeah, I think you can kind of tell the difference in strength there, because there are multiple times where I was like, move X would be super annoying. Bang! That move shows up. So I actually think this did a pretty good job of highlighting the difference. Okay, so let's review that game. I actually tried to do the review already, but I had the wrong layout, so I already used a Kishin analysis in one spot, so we'll get to that. Okay, so my opponent decided to go for this two-turn lost bishop exchange idea, which I'm not super fond of. But it looked like he had a plan with it, which is that he wants to go into Migi-Gyoku, and going into Migi-Gyoku, it's nice if actually you haven't pushed your pawn to 8-5 yet. So I think that's another thing that is a bit of a difference between like a 2-dan player and like a Q-level player, is that when they play something strange in the opening, they have an idea of what they're going to do to follow it up. Whereas I think a lot of the players that we've faced so far, when they did something strange in the opening, they just did something strange and had no follow-up. So, okay, I'm actually curious what the best move was here as well. What I decided to do is still just go for the edge, because I'd committed 2 moves to it already. And I didn't really have a great idea of how to attack somewhere else. The silver move also I felt was pretty slow. And so yeah, like my opponent is just saying, okay, like, come attack me. You figure it out. I think I did an okay job actually in terms of how this ended up. So this move is probably not that good, specifically because it lets me get a 2-piece exchange for the silver that's on the edge of the board. Like, it's probably better if you just kind of like lets the silver die or like do whatever on that edge of the board. I guess maybe he didn't want to let me take and promote the pawn or something. And this also opens up room for his rook to come around. Okay, and then yeah, he gets this bishop drop, but it wasn't that scary. And then I found this nice way of getting my rook in. And then I was trying to figure out here how to make this lance drop work. And then he had a nice defensive resource with this pawn drop that I didn't see coming. Okay, and you can see here, oh, you can't actually see it, but I used a Kishin analysis in this position. Because what I ended up doing was pushing this pawn. And what ended up happening is that because this is the pawn that's defending basically the head of my king, it became very double-edged, right? I think I mentioned this lance drop would be annoying, and then he had these knight drops, and I ended up losing because of this pawn push, I think. So in the Kishin analysis, I specifically picked this spot, and the Kishin thinks I'm 95%, so I'm pretty winning, and what it wants to do is sack this silver with the idea that if silver takes, I believe the idea is a gold drop here, which is I'm going to take your rook, and if you take the gold, my my dragon's getting in. I have like bishop drop. This would have been completely winning for me. So interestingly, the engine doesn't even take this silver sack, and then yeah, we're getting in and doing this kind of thing anyway. And obviously this is pretty much my opponent really has no attack here. And his king is in the middle of the board. So this would have been the nice way to close it out. But yeah, my opponent did a very good job defending and asking me some questions about how exactly I was going to efficiently attack. I think you really got to see the difference of like the defensive resources used by like this 2-down level player versus when I was playing the Q level players. They were basically just letting me get the attacks that I wanted. Whereas this opponent did not let me get the attacks that I wanted. To be fair, yeah, like this is 95%, and I got another advantage out of the opening. I just couldn't close this one out, so I played a little bit worse. But again, also like my opponent is making things more difficult for me here for sure. Like, okay, to have to find this move to close it out. And I mean, I say have to, but I'm sure there are other moves that are not, opening up your king for attack that do pretty well here. So those were my games, kind of ranking up, and you got to see the difference in levels and the types of moves that are played by different levels of players. And I think it did a really good job showing kind of that skill gap that needs to be overcome if you want to become a Dan level player. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.